Alright guys, just a bit of an update. Spanish language and the work stuff. Spanish language, what I'm doing is probably about realistically about 2 hours a day. That's a minimum, not maximum. If I get bored, I'll do, like now, if I was sat here, we're just waiting for April, I'd sit and do 20 minutes while she was in the supermarket. But what I find is, if you focus on when you've got downtime doing it, it's not difficult to do like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and easily do 2 hours a day. Now, where's my Spanish going so far? Well, I haven't really had much response from the guys that I started talking with from the Spanish side, in the sense of they want to learn English and I swap my Spanish. It's all gone quiet. It's really weird, but I know my wife had the same problem, because I suppose this is a similar thing to a friend of mine who was in charge of a big campus over in Canada, and he always oversubscribed the what do you call it, accommodation by 30%, because they get all the deposits. So when people drop out and don't turn up for the college year, he basically kept all the 30%, and he expected about 30% of people not to show up, which is why he oversubscribed it by about 30%. And he says sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. It says if it's out, you basically just move them into accommodation that's not on campus. You know, you go and find somewhere for them. But the point being is, things have a high dropout. It's the same reason gyms in the UK and probably other places lock you into these larger contracts, 12-month, 18-month, whatever they can do, rather than let you pay on a weekly or a monthly, because they know you'll drop out within the first month or so, because most people do. But anyway, still carrying on. Mainly using Memorize at the minute, and I'm finding that it's getting more memorized, I suppose, because what I'm finding is a lot of the sentences, you may not know the whole sentence structure, but you're starting to recognize more and more of the words. So you're finding that you're understanding the structure a lot more, along with the fact that even if you don't even know about 8% of a sentence, you can recognize one or two of the words enough to actually turn around and know what it means. Now, that's sort of showing that things are progressing to the point that you're starting to pick things up, even if it's a new sentence, because you're recognizing certain words. It says I've got about 800 or 900 words memorized already, which I could agree with, because I had about 400 plus before I started. But at the same time, I do think that a lot of the sentences I'll never use. But I'll persevere with it, because it's actually working. And I know somebody else mentioned something they're doing, and I'll have a look at that as well. Because like you say, I mean, if I have a go at it and see how it goes, then obviously it's also useful for other people. Duolingo I've stopped doing, quite simply. It's, as others have mentioned, is boring and repetitive. It is boring and repetitive, but that's one of the problems you have with learning a new language, is it is boring and repetitive a lot of the time, due to the way we've got to absorb the information. The downside, though, is I don't know, it's just not interesting, because once you start understanding it, you get to a point where it's not really helping you anymore. So for me, Duolingo sort of dropped to the back seat, because the Memorize does it better. The course I was looking at relating to sentence structures and stuff, that sort of fell by the wayside as well, because it's one of those ones where they push on the sales. You could do this, you could do that, and you know, learn it in a few weeks. And then I looked at it and it's like, right, so I messaged the people behind it, no response. Well, the first thing I get is, if I'm not getting a response from the people behind it, it shows they put it on full automate, and they put it on full automate. Not really interested, because I wanted to get some engagement with the guys. But some of the stuff they did in the initial videos makes a lot of sense on using words and forming sentences. That makes a lot of sense, because that's one of the things that Memorize should be doing, and it doesn't really well. Not in the same context. You know, like what they were doing is it would take, say, words like the, he, she, and then they start adding other words to it. So you start off with a lot of individual words, and then you start forming sentences, which is the way you speak. You know, like he said, and then whatever it was. So you learn he, you learn said, and then you know that's the said. So you start forming these small sentences, and as you go, it expands out. But because you're doing it in a logical way, you're focusing on the structure. Because you're doing like he, she, they, and you know you're going through all your verb to be. But then you start going, you know, where, what, why, you know, all the basics which form the most basic sentences you'll use, which means you have likely to use them at the beginning and not 6 weeks later once you've absorbed words that you don't use. You know, like in-law, you know, your brother-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law. See, I don't even use those words too much even in English, because I'll say like April's mother rather than mother-in-law. Yeah, so there's a lot of words that you'll find you may never use, but I do think it's important you form these sentence structures, and I do recommend you start using them as soon as possible. One of the things I have been doing a lot more proactively is speaking Spanish. I've got to admit, here is more difficult than, like, say, Madrid or Barcelona, because everybody pretty much speaks English to some degree. You know, they may not speak too much English, but if I go and sit at the cafe and order a coffee, they know what a coffee is, because they're serving probably 100 Brits a day, or Scandinavians or whatever, that don't speak Spanish, but they all speak English. So that's one of the problems you do get in this area. A lot of people do speak English. So you've got to sort of break that habit and start speaking Spanish. And as you do, you'll see people they sort of smile. You know, that they're happy that you are actually engaging with them in Spanish. So it is getting there, and I do expect it's going to be a bit of a long road. But I've got a lot more material now. I may actually start on the blog. I'm not sure what to do with the blog yet, to be honest. I might actually move the blog onto its own blog, in the sense of its own domain, because at the moment it's on a free domain. The reason for that, I might move it, is because if I'm going to put a lot of time into it, I might as well stick AdSense on the back of it. But also I can add little things like a forum and other bits and pieces I can't do where it is at the moment. So I'm still thinking on that one at the minute. But it is getting there, and that's one of the things I will say is persevere. And do try different things, because you may find something works better than the way you're doing it already. So, like I said, Memorize works really well, because although it's fairly repetitive in the structure, you get bored and go up another level, so you get some more sentences and stuff. But at the same time, going back over the old stuff and then to the new stuff, it gets absorbed, and you start seeing it, that you're memorizing it all. Because you start noticing that you can, because I'm fairly photographic memory-wise, I can remember words. But one of the things I have been starting to do, which you may find useful in the same way, is close your eyes. The reason for that is that visually you're remembering everything. When it's actually saying the words, close your eyes first. Because then you're hearing it, you're focusing on the hearing first, which is obviously, for a lot of the conversational stuff, that's what you need first. So close your eyes and don't look at the letters or the words, and then open your eyes and obviously do whatever it's asking you to do. I'm finding that works really well, because it's breaking the habit. Because if I do it visually, I don't even have to think a lot of the time, because I can memorize a lot of stuff with my eyes. and have no idea what it is I've actually done, you know, because it's just there. So that's one of the things I do recommend, is closing your eyes, listening to it, and then you can also press it again to play it again with your eyes open, so you can do that. But that's something I found very useful. But the work-wise, I've applied for a load of engineering type work. They're all over this area. I mean, some of them are Barcelona to manage some facilities there, but I'm just waiting to see what comes back. I'm trying to get to stay in this area where possible, and I am aware that my Spanish language is hindering me a bit. Real estate agents, I've had two I've applied for, neither of them have really took any interest, but here they're wanting about 3 or 4 languages anyway. Bizarre thing is, I know I can promote it on YouTube and stuff, which the majority aren't doing at all. So I do find that a little bit odd, rather than looking at some new engagement. But I don't know. Sometimes people have their own way of doing it, don't want to change or whatever. But if I can find somebody I can work with on that, I'm sure that would actually work a lot better. In the same way, if you want to advertise your property yourself, I'll do a video for you. You know, what I'll do is just charge for the videos. There you go. You know, if you make commission on it, it's yours. If you, what do you call it? If you're a real estate agent, just pay a fixed fee on the videos. Job done. That's on the video side, and I've got to admit, I'm looking into new stuff on that as well and improving the quality. I've got all the camera equipment, by the way. I do most of the stuff on the mobile, but I do have actually got better camera equipment. I've got a Canon 650D along with other microphones for it, and wide lenses, and well, different types of lenses depending on what sort of types of video and photos I'm doing. So I've got all the equipment in the first place. It's just that I haven't been using it because I don't really need it for most of these videos that we do. So that's on one side. The call center stuff, I've actually got a call with somebody today that's actually looking at setting up to do some call center marketing, business to business. They want, after somebody to manage about 400 to 500 call centers and agents, which is something I've done before. I managed 40 call centers before at once, so I'm having to look at it, see if it's worth my time and their time. Because a lot of time they go, oh, well, we want to do this, and you go, but your product's crap, and you know, and they'll do the whole, I'll demand put a face on the rock and sell the rock to somebody. Says, yeah, but he wasn't doing it on a commission basis. You know, at the end of the day, you're trying to sell a product that may be replicated by another 100 firms. Why does yours stand out? If it doesn't stand out, you ain't selling it. And I'm saying it because I'm not wasting my time and their time, because my network on the call centers, they've got to be making money. They ain't making money, I ain't wasting my time, because quite simply the product may not be sellable. So this is why they've got to sell it to me first, and then I've got to sell myself to them, and then we'll work out something in the middle. The other stuff that's going on, there's a video that I'll upload after this one, which was actually taken before this one, which was for some electrics we did yesterday. The 3 sockets blew out. I've got to admit, this is why I say to people to rewire their houses, because the first thing you've got here is the cables are old. Secondly, there's a lot of substandard work here. They put everything on the same ring. As such, that creates some issues on its own. But then you've got the other problem is the actual material substandard as well, which too often than not it is. So like yesterday, 3 burnt out sockets. The one had actually melted the case a bit inside and stuff, and it's like, but even then you could see they looped the sockets round. Well, the cable should be going up and down, not round the house. But you can't, you know, it's old stuff. And my advice on that, my best advice on that is actually the whole thing wants ripping out and rewiring. But at the same time, I'm not telling people what they need to do with their house. I'll say, look, it wants ripping out. But if they turn around and say, can you just repair the 3 sockets? I'll just repair the 3 sockets. That's one thing I will say with people. I'll just be straight with you. I don't think it's the best, but it's up to you. It's not my house, not my budget. So repair the sockets for them. We've had a couple of people come through for some air conditioning. We've had one of our subscribers has asked about some windows and some redecoration work. So it looks like the repairs and maintenance side is actually starting to take off, and I haven't really done much with it yet. But I will also say we do actually have all the equipment and stuff, because you're not just dealing with me. I actually have people I work with and people I already know. I've been here a long time. So the point being is, like the air conditioning, you're not getting somebody that arrived last week that's suddenly starting up an air conditioning business. This is actually one of the guys I work with that's been here 18 years. So it's not brand spanking new, never done it before type thing. It's a case of, yeah, experience, done it, fitted several last week, as well as I don't know how many a year. But one of the things I am looking at doing is Airedale do a course in the UK. I'm trying to find one in Spain, but if I can find one, if I can't, I'm going to go to the UK and do a aircon course myself. It's only a 3-day course. It's just a big grudge spending £1,000 on a course, especially when I can't claim the VAT back on it yet. But anyway, we'll get there. My experience with companies so far, I would say 90% of them don't respond to you. So you do get, like Mercadona, I'll be honest with you, they email back and said thank you for your inquiry, blah blah blah, you're in process. One of the real estate agents got back in touch, the other one non-responsive even with an email. But then again, this is what I see with a lot of real estate agents in this area, is they're often non-responsive. You know, they'll start a Facebook page or whatever and then don't respond to it for 4 or 5 days or a couple of weeks sometimes. And you think, how do you run a business like this? You know, the whole point of this social media engagement is maximum of 24 hours, because you're trying to do it like that. You know, if somebody's saying, is the house and such still available? I'm there next week, can I come and view it? And it takes you a week to respond to them. How many leads are you losing? It's terrible. So, yeah, I'd say a lot of that bad business practice. But the bigger facilities companies, I like it anyway. I've got to admit, I've contacted a couple of agents, but what I'm going to try and do is actually find some of the facilities agencies, because once I get my foot in that door, they'll find me work. I'll tell you that now, because what I do is in demand in the UK, but it's already cropped up twice here so far for hospitals, because they want somebody that actually knows how to set up hospitals, maintain hospitals, put all the planning together. And I can do that standing on my head. It's stuff I've done a lot of, but it's just getting the decision maker and getting the right agents to actually just push me forward. So I'm working on that at the minute, but we'll just see where it goes. I mean, if the maintenance stuff gets as busy as it has been last week, and it's like that every week, well, to be honest, I won't be needing anything else. I'd rather go around. Yes, see, the thing is, I don't mind doing construction work and stuff. Done it for 20 odd years. So for me, going around and, I don't know, fitting an aircon unit this week, plus painting somebody's house out, changing windows, fitting window grills, doing some changeovers for what do you call it, the holiday tourist changeovers. I don't mind doing any of that. Why? Because I'm here. here to adapt to the environment I've got. I'm in a big tourist area. I'm in a big housing development area. It's obviously something I've got a big connection with because I've been in facilities, in construction and maintenance for over 20 years. And I'm in an area with there's thousands of houses where a lot of them haven't had a lot of work done properly since the 80s. So there's a lot of aircon units, hot water boilers, pipe work, electric works, you know, to be refitted, installed, repaired, swapped out. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Thanks for watching.